All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to talk with me today. I am here with Chase, and I'm probably going to pronounce your last name wrong.
It is all good. One of
Paparello?
many. It's more than all right. Well, which one was that?
Paparello?
That's close. It's a Papariello.
Papariello. Okay. I was
Yeah.
close. My maiden name is Marzigliano. So,
Oh, okay. So you feel the pain. That's all right. I got you.
right. And Chase's with Saving Vice, which is, if you guys follow the Hellfire Brittany page, know is quickly become one of my favorite bands, and they have a brand new album coming out here. I believe it is in February, and I got him on to just ask a couple of questions about that, about their process and everything else. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm flattered. And yeah, it's coming out February 21st for that specific. But yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I did have a few questions about it. I've had an opportunity to listen to a little bit, and I know that you guys did a thing where if you pre-order it, you're getting a song early. So, what's the response been for that song that's been released? I mean, you see a lot of stuff for Never Knows Best or Endgame or even the most recent release, Hollow Bastion, but I haven't seen a whole lot of feedback yet for those people who get the that sneak peek of the song for pre-ordering. So, what's that been like?
So from what we have heard about Broken Window, it's for the people that like that kind of music is much more like ambient and it has a very like hard hitting breakdown. But the purpose of that song is very much behind all the things we view as corrupt in the current world, all the things that are wrong and there's no justice being dealt to these very obviously wrong things. Like for like Flint, like the water in Michigan and Flint, Michigan, for example, that's completely like asinine. That's not politics. That's something that's unacceptable for any human to be living with. And it's as a in general pretty much viewing how it's a concept called the Overton window, in which humans view what is acceptable. And in our personal and anecdotal experience, we see that the Overton window and what's being viewed as acceptable is shifting in a way that we are not comfortable with, and we as a race think that we should all not be comfortable with. What we've seen about that song is people love the message, that people really love the direction we're going in. It's a little bit different instrumentally than our other songs. It comes from a different area of influence that some of our other songs haven't got yet. But it's one of our favorite songs, and from what we've heard from the people who have listened to it, is one of their favorite songs as well. And we're stoked to be able to release it to the general public.
Well, that's awesome. I don't know that I've ever heard of the Overton window, so I'll definitely have to look into that. But you're right, there's definitely been a major shift as far as what people deem acceptable, whether it's because we've become desensitized because of all of the bullshit that's going on, or because we're coming up to an age where we have to focus on the immediate without focusing on necessarily what's around us most of the time. Because we have to, we have to go to work, we have to feed our families, we have to pay our rent, we have so much stuff going on. It's easy to overlook some of those other things. And I think that might have something to do with that as far as that shift is just the change in not just the political climate, but the economic climate and things like that. But that is a really, really interesting subject. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. And I think it's really cool that you guys have sort of brought that to the forefront with your music. You guys usually seem to have a sort of message to what you're putting out, and I think that's great.
Thank you very much. We try to. We only write music that we view on subjects that are super important, that what people want to hear or what people need to hear.
Right, exactly. And I think that's something that drew me to you guys in the first place was just the subject matter that you tackle, the way that you handle things, your involvement with the community and everything else. So I mean, keep that up for real. I really admire you guys for that.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that, and I promise you everybody else appreciates that just as well.
So I did want to ask, what was the writing process like for this album? It's your first full-length album. I know that it was probably a fairly daunting task, especially with you guys not living necessarily in the same town. What was that like?
Um, so at the time when writing this album, our lineup change, we had a couple different lineup changes. So it was definitely a distracting time. It was one of the more challenging times we've had as a band, but I think that really improved and made us power through this process. For specific songs on this album, we have been writing probably close to 2 years, not just like when, like, we definitely, I would say, had a hard start about a year ago, but there's been songs for like example Endgame. That's probably been in the works for close to 2 years now. Um, But I really think that in the year that we had to really hard work on it, we all put our like pedal to the metal. Like me and Tyler, we have the opportunity to actually live together, so we are working in a very close proximity, and we are able to bounce ideas off of each other constantly every single day. And for example, Robbie, our guitarist, will send
Hmm.
us an instrumental that he has in the works, and we're like, okay, this is more of a Tyler song, or this is more of a Chase song, depending on like what it sounds like. If it's like more of a Silent Planet, North Laney, I'll probably take the spearhead on it. If
Right.
um if it's more of like, let's say, undergrowthy, like old school metalcore, Tyler will probably take the head on it. But for example, like with going back to Broken Window, that was a song that we both felt very strongly for, and that was the way with, as well as the Blackbriar, which people haven't heard yet, and Hollow Bastion. It was a subject that we both agreed we wanted to work on together, and we would sit down at a table and we would spearhead that. And depending on the song, I think Broken Window took the one of the longest out of all of them, because we were just listening to the instruments, like, what do we want to do for, like, the example, the intro,
Hmm.
um, and we can bounce and we can focus on idea. We can whip it out, for example, within an hour if it's something we're just like powering through. Like, yeah, we're really feeling it. Like, we're relating to the emotion of the instrumental Robbie sent us, and it'll like make it a lot easier for us. But sometimes it gets us stuck, and we can be stuck in the same part for like a week or two. But eventually we get to put our heads together and we work through that. For a lot of the album, Robbie did the majority of the instrumentals, and we definitely were working on it almost right up to when we went to the studio, um, just because we want to give them and each song as much time as we can to really like marinate on what we want to do with the song, what direction we want to go with it, what we want it to sound like. And Tyler and I are very nitpicky about what we want to use for lyrics and where we want to do this and do that. But it was definitely an antagonizing process, but it was one of all of our favorites process probably throughout the time we've had in the band, because were really able to come together and see eye to eye as a band.
Well, that's great. Now you're saying that you were, just sort of working off of each other and things like that, and Robbie would send over the instrumentals all the way up until about when you got to the studio. I'm curious, did you guys go separately to do that aspect as well, or did you all kind of come together over a week or weekend or what have you to hit the studio as a group and really put it all together?
There's a little bit of each in there. What we did for this album, which was pretty similar to Colder Than Dark,
Hmm.
we took 2 weeks out, I believe it was, and the instrumentals went in first. That involved a lot of Robbie and our members at the time, and they would go in and they would record all the guitar and the bass, the vast majority of it, throughout that week. And then there'd be probably a day or two or crossover where Tyler and I come in. We see how the instrumentals are doing. We're like, see if there's been any changes, because by the time we get there, there's more often than not a couple changes or tweaks that have been made that might affect how we place our lyrics or might affect what we want to do with the song.
Hmm.
Um, so we get a chance to look over that, and either that day or the next day we'll get started doing our own stuff. And Tyler and I have a schedule that we pretty much base on the day or based on what songs we have to record, of
Hmm.
how much of one person's doing and how much of another person's doing. Like maybe one day I'll be doing a lot of my vocal takes and he'll be doing less, because he has to do more clean vocals as opposed to screaming, and just trying to get the best takes out of that. But we definitely use all of our time in the studio. We spent like another week in the studio for the vocal tracks, and saved a little bit of time, but like right under hair, we're able to get everything done. And we haven't had any other reason to go back to the studio, because we're all just pretty happy with what the takes we've done and what we view now as it's probably the apex of our career.
Awesome. It's funny you mentioned that Tyler tends to do like the under oath stuff. I noticed something, and I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up or not. But one of my close friends, his name is Tyler. He has
Yeah.
an under oath tattoo on the same arm as your Tyler.
Oh
And
my
your
god,
Tyler's
that's
last
funny.
name is Small, and my Tyler is a very short man.
We should get them together, do a little promo.
I really, really think that that would be awesome. I noticed the tattoo in a picture. It was a promo picture for you guys, and I screenshotted it and I sent it to my friend. I was like, dude, it's you.
Alternate
Like,
dimension Tyler.
it was I don't know, like it stood out to me and I thought it was hilarious. And then you'd mentioned Under Oath and it came back in my head and it's just sort of traveling. I was like, no, don't say it, don't say it. Then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just saying it anyway because it makes me laugh. Anyway, back on track as far as the actual music. So you've got several different songs that are coming out. We've got we've gotten to see three of them for sure, and some people have gotten to see a fourth one. What is your favorite song on the album?
Oh, on the album, not just the singles we've released, but on the album as a whole.
On the album as a whole.
Oh, let's see. Because to be honest, Hollow Bastion and Broken Window are definitely up there for my favorites. But if I had to pick one that I'm super excited for, I would say Nerve Damage probably. I think it's probably one of the most different sounding songs on the album, and I'm really excited to see how it's taken across our fan base because it's different something than what we've done in the past, but it still has that same flair of what makes us us. Um,
Right.
but it's a very dramatic song. It's kind of on the same line as Never Knows Best, and I really think people are going to dig that, and so I'm really excited to see how people react to that.
Well, I've had the opportunity to listen to it getting ready to do the pre-release review that I'll be releasing sometime this week. And I have to say that that is actually my favorite song on the album. So I think
Really?
yeah, it is. I really liked that one. It like you said, I mean, it stood out to me as different enough, but it still had that very Saving Vice feel. So you're going to be seeing my full opinion of the album and all of that, including that song for sure here next week. But definitely, I think that's interesting. I'm glad that I'm not going to be the only one that's like, that's my favorite.
Well,
That
that
happens a
makes me
lot.
happy. I'm super stoked to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I know that you guys have your release show coming up and that's selling out pretty quickly. What are your other plans for touring and things like that now that you have this new album to promote?
There's not too much I want to give away because the plans we have in the works are we're all pretty excited about, so we
Yep.
don't want to,
You got the
give
tour
a
stuff
hint
going on.
that's gonna. But we have a couple of festivals in the works that we're looking at. We're really excited to hop on that. Some new areas we haven't seen before. We're definitely going to be seeing a lot of new states, towns, and people we haven't seen before, and hopefully being able to see fans that have been in that area for a while that have been dying to see us and make new fans and friends along the way. That's really what we're hoping to see out of this upcoming year, and I really think we're gonna see that for sure.
It sounds awesome. If you're anywhere near me, I'll definitely try to come through. You're a little bit far away for me to come to the release show, but
That's more than
definitely
all right. Well,
circle around.
I hope we see you in 2020, and I'm sure we will. We have quite the roadmap planned out.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and then hopefully the other people who listen to this interview will jump on and go give you guys some time because I'm sure you put on a hell of a show. You mentioned festivals. I don't know if you can actually answer this or not, but are you planning to do I Matter again?
Oh God, I would love to, and so would everybody else in the band. It's one of our favorite festivals, maybe even like above when we played Warped Tour. But there's a limit. We've been on there the last 2 years, so we need a little bit of a break. We're gonna let some other bands get in there and see what it. And it's we have had the opportunity to see a couple things that are in the works for the upcoming festival. It's gonna be another great year for it, honestly. And just because we're not going doesn't mean other people shouldn't still go because that festival is going to kick some serious ass that year. I promise you that. So just because we're not going, don't let that deter you. But we're not going to be on it this year. But we have a couple other really awesome festivals that we're going to be going on to.
I'll definitely take a look out, and I'll keep an eye out for the lineup for I Matter. I know it's a very important festival, and I think that it's such a cool thing that they do. So, like you said, whether
Absolutely.
you're going or not, people still should.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll be back in 2021. Who knows? It's all good. It's a good time either way. Maybe some of us might still be going. So even if you guys do go, no, some of us might be there, and feel free to say hey.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So let's see. We've talked about some of the tracks that you've got coming up. We've talked about how your singles have been received, your writing process, things like that, touring. I think as far as the album itself goes, there's not really a whole lot else to touch base on. So I do want to go in just a slightly different direction and ask about your personal experience with the band and things like that, if that's okay.
Oh, more than so. Absolutely.
So, as you know, I've already interviewed Sammy before, and I've asked him some of these questions as well. But as far as music is concerned, what is the one thing about being a musician or being a performer that stands out to you and means the most to you as a person?
Above all else, whatever comes of music and being able to see all these people, my absolute favorite thing and the thing that will like keep me going wherever music takes me is being able to. There's a lot of stuff that artists and people in general can't convey just through regular talk. And what we do, what Tyler and I do, what everybody in the band does, and we convey our emotions and our true feelings through music. And I think anybody that can seriously listen to whatever music they like and pick up on that message, they relate to that. And that's something that I love. And to be able to go out and play these songs that have a deep meaning to me and a deep meaning to everybody in the band, because we put our heart and soul into it, and know that other people are picking up on that and they feel it with their heart and their soul. They know that everything's going to be all right, that that they can relate to the songs that we're writing, and just be able to have a powerful experience when they come and see us live.
Well, that's awesome. So it's just all about that human connection that you can get from it, and then what you can do to help other people and to really relate to one another, just as the basis level of being human.
Exactly. Smiling faces and big hugs all the time. That's just what I love most about being a musician, being able to share in the happiness that is music with everybody.
That's great. That's great. I like that. I like that. Um, let's see here. My brain just died. I'm not entirely awake. Apparently, I've been awake since
You're
like
more than all
six,
right.
but my head's all messed up. I need lunch. I really do. It's like lunchtime and I'm hungry. This is
I've been on a
difficult.
pizza binge, honestly, the last 2 days. I just got tattooed in Blackville in Salem,
Mhm.
Salem, Massachusetts, and they have amazing pizza. I went to this place called the Flying Saucer Pizza Company, and it's probably some of the best pizza I've had in a long time.
If I'm ever out that way, I'll definitely have to try it. I'm a big fan of pizza. Usually because I'm super lazy and I don't have to cook it. I just go somewhere and pick it
Exactly.
up.
A good local pizza place is my kryptonite any day of the week.
Yeah, so there's a place around here that does some really good pizza. It's I don't know about 20 minutes from my house, but it's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Little hole in the wall place too.
Those are
They're
always
always
the
my
best
favorite.
places, whether it's pizza or not. It's always those small, like mom and pop owned shops.
For sure, for sure. There's a little sandwich place near there too that I really like. It has the best egg salad sandwich I've ever had. I'm not even a big egg salad fan, but something
Oh,
about
I
that
know. It's nothing
place.
for it. Absolutely.
It works for me. I love the whole small town thing though. Like my eventual hope is to do well enough that I can afford to not have to go into the office every day and work so that I can move out to the mountains and live in a tiny little mountain town because that is my like ultimate goal and dream.
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and I can share that same dream and goal, honestly, to some extent.
I mean, it's peaceful out there, and it's you and it's your thoughts, and the neighbors leave you alone even if they talk about you, and it is what it is.
Have as many dogs and pets as you want. Don't annoy the neighbors. That's what I call a pro.
Right, right, right. Anyway, back on track though, as far as music is concerned, has there been one moment in your life, either as a touring musician, a writing musician, as an artist in general, or even just throughout your day-to-day life, where you had that experience and it sort of reaffirmed what you were doing? This is why I do this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple things for sure, but I would say one of the two things that stand out to me would be well, my first show ever at the Palladium in Massachusetts. The first show I ever went to was like Moss to Flames. I think that was in 2014, 2015, before Saving Vice was even a thought in my head. I was in some other band at the time. I went to go see them, and who opened up for them was a band called Convictions as well.
Mhm.
And since that time, I've been honored to be able to play with like Moss Flames at the Palladium, where like twice now, I believe, where they first saw them, were one of my first big shows, and that just blew my mind for it to come full circle like that. We've been lucky enough to play a handful of shows with our friends and Convictions. I'm like stoked to be able to call those guys my friends now because I was huge fans of them when I was growing up. And besides that, there is at iMatter this most recent year. There is a small kid that came up to me after our set. I was alone at the merch table, and he came up and just asked me for a hug and said that you're one of my favorite people. And obviously, being a musician for a small kid, that might be an easy goal. But either way, being able to see that and see like the same feelings I would have felt when I was a kid, seeing a band I like perform, seeing that as well come full circle was unbelievable to me. And it's a hard thing to grasp onto. And I would have never been able to imagine that feeling if that hadn't actually happened to me.
That is awesome. I love hearing stories that involve kids. They're
Exactly.
they're so
Heartwarming.
pure, and
Absolutely.
they love what they love. Like my son is probably the worst music critic you'll ever meet, but when there's
Because they're
something that he
honest.
loves, it's awesome.
They're honest to their own fault.
They are. He's like, this sucks. I want to go home. It's not heavy enough. He's a weird one though. He'll go from Mastodon to Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's quite the
it's
spectrum for that age. Damn.
yeah. He likes what he likes though, and he knows what he likes. But
That's good to have.
that's how kids are though. They're very in tune with the things that make them feel ways that they like.
Exactly, and you
So
can't change your mind on it.
I think to have that experience of the kid coming up and telling you that you're one of their favorite people is pretty awe-inspiring.
Absolutely, it's heartwarming beyond all belief, and still like doesn't even feel real, as well as like many other things I've been able to be a part of because of this band. But it's all part of just a great moment in my life.
That's really cool. So what inspired Saving Vice to sort of start?
What started Saving Vice and what inspired it? We had like a rough draft phase, let's call it, for about a year or so. Saving Vice technically got started through Robbie, me, and our ex guitarist, actually.
Mhm.
And so they had an ad out, Robbie and our ex guitarist, looking for a vocalist for a band. This is back when we were in Vermont, like everybody in the band was in Vermont. And they happened to see my also Craigslist ad that was like, "Hey, I'm a vocalist. If anybody needs me, I'll be here waiting for an email." So they hit me up, and we were able to get together and just like that started as bedroom recordings. Like as many great bands do, I like to think, starting from the bedroom or a garage and building their way up from there. Um, and as we went, we had a couple of lineup changes. We were set and firm in 2017 with Tyler as our other vocalist, and then we came into Kenji being our bassist and Sammy being our drummer. And it definitely feels like the most family sense we've had as a lineup since then. But what really started is just a common passion for music and wanting to make kind of what I went into earlier about we all like vibe and love the music that we hear, and we want to be a part of the emotion that these people are being able to convey to all these people. We want to be a part of that. We want to be on the first wave of that. We don't just want to be on the other end of it anymore. So we just started making the music that we have all wanted to make for the longest time. And because of all of our different genre backgrounds, all of our different influences, it came to be what Saving Vice is, an emotional, like power packed metalcore group, I suppose.
That's fantastic. Actually, it sort of sticks out in my head as the band that Craigslist made now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's really cool though. It's always interesting to hear how people meet as far as, when it's not a group of guys that have grown up together necessarily, but it's sort of patchwork and it came together through different means and stuff like that. And sometimes those are where you find even the strongest bonds because you don't have all of that history from growing up together and all of that to get in the way. You just have who you are as people coming together for a common goal, and you grow together and become this sort of family. And I think that's fantastic. I really do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because honestly, except for maybe Tyler and I don't think anybody else in this band would have ever known each other to any extent. It's so weird to think about it. We wouldn't have been a part of each other's world in any sense if it wasn't for this. And I think that's just another good way of showing that music can bring people together.
Absolutely. I don't know anything that I've seen that brings people together the way that music does, except for, a common enemy maybe.
That's a
But
fair
even then,
point.
you had to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I do thank you very much. I just have one final question for you. It's the question that I like to end all of my interviews with. If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be?
Oh my God. Like, what would I want to be, or what would I be placed as? Because those are definitely two different things.
Well, what are both of those things?
Man, let's say my favorite animal for a long time was an ostrich, but I've actually become a chameleon owner recently. So I'm falling head over heels for a chameleon. So I would probably choose myself as a chameleon. But in reality, I would probably get stuck as a penguin, like just that chubby, flightless bird. But that's okay because they're really cool animals, so I wouldn't be upset either way, honestly.
Chubby, flightless bird.
That can be on my gravestone, and I'll be okay with it.
Oh, wow. But a lot of people like penguins. So
Exactly, yeah, I'm all right with it. I'm still a fan favorite.
there you go. I'm pretty sure it's a llama. They're rude. Their hair is always messed up and they always look like they just woke up.
Absolutely, bedhead 24/7.
Right, right. Well, I do thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you want to say to the people listening out there?
Well, first I want to say to you, thank you for having me. Been awesome to be here. I appreciate you having me on. And I guess right now we have pre-orders going out for Hello There right now. The album comes out February 21st. So get your pre-orders in now. And anybody in the area, or even if you want to travel, we are coming back to our hometown March 7th. For our release show, we're going to be playing a lot of new songs we haven't played before live for the very first time. So if you haven't seen us before, or you're a long-time Vermont fan, now's your time. So yeah, thank you for having me, and I hope everyone out there has a great day.
So thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it, and I know that you guys are going to kill it with this album release. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Right back at you.